Brooks, welcome back to Live at 9. I know you like coming on.
So used to it now.
You're so used to it now? It's almost been 2 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, because I like having you come on once a month just to fix my body.
Yeah, get that back going.
Get that back going. Yeah, right. All right. We're talking about ankles. Yeah, normally we don't show our shoes here on Live at 9, but today I got some Nikes on. But ultimately, I want to know what keeping your ankles healthy looks like. Ankle problems tend to be an issue to have, maybe not as common as you'd say the knee or the back.
Correct.
But when you have ankle issues, I've seen in the NBA, once you start having them, it seems like they just keep reoccurring.
It is so common. We deal with it with our athletes on the higher level of like the severe ankle sprains or Achilles tears, but then we see it like chronic overuse with our adults in regards to like plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis, those overuse kind of injuries. And
going a little bit back to that, but do you sense that with ankles, that once you start having them,
oh, it's true.
It's hard to really get rid of it 100%?
You're probably referring to like Steph Curry, where he battled it those first few years, and it looked like it was going to possibly even derail his career a little bit, and he found a way to work through it. Obviously, he has fantastic resources and supreme athlete, but they can be over and over again. Yeah,
because I think when you sprain your ankle, right, it never fully goes back 100%. It could go back to 99%.
Yeah, it's tough a lot of times to get it back where you want it. It's why it's so important to be on the preventative side with things.
Interesting. The things you learn here on WJTV Live at 9. All right, so I come to you, I have an ankle issue.
Yeah.
What are some of the common things that they'll say? Like, where's the pain? Where on their ankle? Out, low, high, east, west?
If they had an acute injury, typically the outside of the ankle right there at the bottom of the fibula is those ankle ligaments that we typically sprain. You think about those inversion sprains as the ones where we roll our ankle out.
Yeah.
Those 3 ligaments on the outside of the ankle are the ones that are commonly injured in that acute sense. If it's more of a chronic thing, it's a lot of times that plantar fascia on the very bottom or the Achilles at the back of the heel that we have issues with.
What would we do if we had some issues?
Always start with the stretching, the testing the flexibility out of it. Our ankle needs a certain amount of movement to be able to demonstrate like normal gait. You know, we're not walking around like this. We find what we call dorsiflexion, where our knee has to drift forward. So we're always stretching that Achilles with patients, whether it be on a slant board or whether it be at the wall. I'm not going to push on the screen.
No.
But on the wall where we're getting that ankle back and getting into that dorsiflexion, so we can have that normal kind of rocker mechanism of our ankle, so we're not hard impact on our feet at all times.
Can you put me through something basic right now?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's do it. So we just let's treat your right ankle as if it's the injured ankle.
Okay, my right ankle.
These exercises are
so it's back.
Yeah, these exercises are so simple. We just get that right ankle back, and then you're essentially just leaning forward into it. And you may feel it up into the gastroc, like higher up into the muscle belly, but you may feel it down.
What was that name again?
Gastrocnemius.
Okay, gastrocnemius.
Yeah, calf muscle.
The calf muscle.
The calf muscle.
Okay.
But we hold that stretch. A lot of times I have people do it a minute or 2, but sometimes I have people just working into it and out of it.
You get me sweating on here all the time.
Yeah, but just those like that, and then just simple heel raises where we're actually working that gastroc.
And is this just getting it stronger?
Yeah, just getting it stronger. I like to do it though. I mean, I have people starting out on the floor doing it, but I love to have people standing like on a step where your foot's on the front of the step and you can actually drop that heel down to where you're getting a stretch when you're at the bottom, but then you're having to lift through that full range of motion.
Let's say I have a tough time doing calf raises.
Yeah, seated.
Seated.
Yeah.
So,
you trust it?
Yeah. Nope. Yeah, I heard that.
No, essentially, you're in that seated position and you're having to lift. You think about when we're doing a heel raise like this, if our weight's centered up 50-50, we're lifting half of our body weight. But we see people come in sometimes that can't lift half their body weight yet with that. So we do it seated, where they're just doing it essentially with only gravity. And then I can even put a weight on their knee too, where I can put a 25-pound weight where they're holding it on their knee and doing the heel raise. But just put them in an advantageous position that they can get that movement.
We got about 30 seconds left, and you're going to join us a little bit later in the show, and we're actually going to, walk through some of these things. I hate that band. But at the end of the day, you got to love the band.
That's right.
I guess my last question is the ankle, right? There's a lot of things around the ankle.
So many different muscles around there, and so many different pockets where swelling can kind of hang out too.
And when you treat the ankle, do you treat the Achilles too, the calf?
Always.
And is the calf part of it too?
Yeah, I consider that all in there together. But you just see where the muscular imbalances are. Sometimes gastrocs are overloaded and all the smaller muscles are weak, so we address those.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Just by you being here, my ankles are cured.
That easy.
It was that easy. You just walked in and the aura Brooks.
Okay, all right.
The aura just cured my ankles. But in all seriousness, all right, I got ankle problems.
Yeah.
You said pull out the handy chair.
We got the chair. It's going to be seated for a few things.
So what are we doing first?
So I kind of call it well, I mean, it's not, I didn't invent the name by any means, but ankle four-way exercises. It's just the basic strengthening in all planes for the ankle. We give these TheraBands out. We use them in the treatment sessions where it just has a loop. And we have different bands for different resistance. But you think of it, there's 4 different ways we can honestly go with this, but strengthen that ankle up in all planes, just make sure that we have that stability in the ankle that we need. The first one, my shoes are untied already. I don't know if I need to get it up high or not, but we can do it where your foot's resting on the stool or on the ground or on the stool. Just a simple ankle plantar flexion where you're pushing down like that. Just like essentially a heel raise. And what we were talking about earlier, people may not be ready for a standing heel raise. It may be painful, it may be weak, but typically people can use the band to do what they need to do on that.
My question is this just working the kind of the top part of the ankle?
No.
Is it working everything?
That's the calf.
So it's actually working the calf?
Yeah, that's what creates that plantar flexion movement is what we call where we're pushing down like that. And then we have what we call E version, where we're pushing out like that. This is the very, very, very important one for those ankle sprains that we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, you have those ligaments that are there almost as an emergency system to provide stability, but those muscles on the outside of our ankles are truly the ones that are preventing that sprain. Because if they're strong and stable and not letting you go into that sprain position, they'll keep you there.
And is this something good that you could just do just to prevent?
Yeah. You think about, like, obviously athletics, I'd love for people to do preventative stuff like this. I see Victor Wembanyama, you know, he's 7'5" or 6".
Right.
He's not waiting until an ankle sprain to work on this stuff. Like, I see him doing band stuff to stay strong so he's not getting hurt. I'd love for my football players to do that, but honestly, I think of a patient that I had this week that was weed eating and tried to step over a ditch and popped his Achilles. I'm like, who knows if he had some weakness there already.
No, so. That's really interesting that and you're working both ankles, obviously, or you're not just working one even if it's just injured?
Correct. I love to do, for those athletes that come in like that, I'm going to do everything bilateral. I'll do that with my knee replacement patients where we're not just working the left knee, we're working the right one too, because the right one's having to support the left one that's had the surgery, you know.
And is there anything about the ankle area that is maybe something that we don't know or aren't curious about?
Well, something you don't think about necessarily, but I mean, it's easy to understand. The further down in the body we go, the more body weight it's having to support. You think of the ankle being a small joint and, you know, the muscle groups aren't as big as quads and core and hips and all, but it has to support more weight than anything else in the body compared to the neck, you know. The neck's just got to support your head.
That is interesting that it supports so much of your body, but it's just such a small area. And Achilles, obviously one of the biggest injuries in sports that can sometimes end a career when it comes to actual athletics. I know that you can still live with an Achilles tear and after getting it fixed. If someone comes to you with an Achilles tear, how sensitive of a recovery process is that?
It's long. It's longer than ACL. It's for, if you think about the people that actually return into play, it's longer than any other recovery that you would have.
And why is that?
It takes time to heal. There's so much force going through that ankle. You know, it's what we talked about with body weight, where I looked it up one day and, you know, when we're standing, that's just 1 time of our body weight. But when we do impacts like that, it's our body weight times 10 with the amount of force that we put through our leg and then back pedaling and planting and going forward. It's a lot of forces on that Achilles.
All right, 1 minute left. Let's recap this whole thing as quickly as we can. All right, you have ankle problems or you're just trying to be preventative.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Staying strong, staying flexible. One of the things we didn't even talk about too was the role that ankle plays in our balance. You think about somebody that's standing there and swaying and their center of gravity starting to drift. That ankle is the first thing that's working to kind of bring us back to level. So I have some of my older patients that are having issues with balance that it may not even be vestibular related. It could be general weakness and ankle weakness that's causing them to have balance issues. So it plays a big role in that too.
Brooks, thank you so much for stopping by. And next month, what would you want to do? What's the next month?
Might bring in the ringer for the hands. We might work on some like needling or cupping kind of stuff too for
cupping.
Pain.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's the one that I've never understood. But you know what? It's live at 9, so maybe we should try it.
Bring them out.
All right, Brooks, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.